Now let's get this bat flapping his wings, and then what we can do is use the instancing and flocking to make a swarm of them flying around. So what we want to do is a simple animation that's actually going to look pretty cool, but it's only 8 frames long. That's right, folks, 8 frames. Now we don't need to change the 300 frames here to 8, but we can bring it down to maybe about 30, and what that's going to do is help us see our timeline a little bit better. We're going to set up the first frame and the last frame. Okay, so what it needs to be is kind of like almost like he's hovering. So at frame 0, with auto key on, we're going to select this first shoulder bone. We're going to rotate it down a bit, and then use my down arrow, and then we're going to rotate that just out a little, just down a little, kind of like that. And then we're going to mirror the same here. Now, if they're a little off, I think that's actually really good. Don't worry about them being super precise because, it's not going to be entirely perfect. Any bird or any bat, there's always going to be a little variation, so it'll actually look okay. Okay, and then what we're going to do is take the neck. Well, we'll do that. We'll come back to that because the body itself is going to move a little bit from the wings, but we want the feet and the head to kind of move, kind of like he's really working. So that's frame 0. Next, we're going to have frame 1. At frame 1, he needs to kind of be pulling his wings up, kind of like sucking up some air. So we'll come back to the shoulders. And again, our timeline is at frame 1. Now, you wouldn't think that's a lot, but when you see the final animation, it'll make sense. So we're actually going to rotate them with the red handle. We're going to pull back a little bit. And then we're going to just kind of pull it up just a little bit. And then pull this in just real subtle. And do the same on this side. And we're going to rotate that back a little bit. Up a little bit. This guy just down a little bit. Okay. Our next frame is frame 4, so I'll press F on the keyboard. That's the go-to frame command. Type in 4 and press OK. And at frame 4, we're going to be kind of like an attack mode. So his wings are going to be up. So we'll select the shoulder bone, and we're going to rotate that up. And then this outer bone, kind of like that. Don't need to rotate it too much. We'll do the same with this bone. And then we'll take this bone and we'll rotate that up a little bit. And pay attention to the other sides, but you can see that he's sort of in this cool attack mode. Okay, so that is frame 4. The next frame is 6, and then what we're going to do is he's going to push out. This is going to give him some lift. So we're going to rotate this out and then come back, almost kind of opposite of what you see here. So where he's kind of hovering on the air, and now he's kind of pushing. And then we'll do the same on this side. And once we have this portion done, we'll go back and then tweak the head and the legs. It'll help make those a little bit easier having these portions done. And you see with the bones, see how these wings area, the membranes are curving very nicely. Alright, so now let's go to frame 7. Just hit the right arrow one time. And now just flatten this guy out. Bring it back down here. This bone, we're going to bring it, not that one, just the pitch, the green handle. Kind of flatten that out. And then we'll flatten this one out like this. And then the next frame after this is going to be frame 8. But frame 8 is exactly the same as frame 0. So, with that bone selected, hit the Enter return key and type in 8, not 9, 8. That creates a keyframe at 8 in that position. So that's essentially how we copy keyframes. So we're at 0, we have an item selected. That item has a keyframe at 0. We're going to create a key at 8 for the selected item's position, rotation, and scale. Easy enough. Create a key at 8. Create a key at 8. Save the scene as, that's not the one we want. We want to save a new scene. Bat skeleton flap. And then Let's just give this a length here. Now all you're going to see is just one flap. That's it. Nothing else. And it actually looks pretty good. Just a nice little flap there. Now we might have to go back and put some bones in his ears, because see how his ears are actually moving a bit? So we need to strengthen those. All right, but before we do that, we need these to repeat. So all we need to do is go to the graph editor and hold the shift key and select all of those, and then the post behavior is set to repeat. And there you can see that flapping motion repeating. Let's go to that bone. I just press the up arrow, graph editor. First motion for the bone is selected. Hold the shift key, select the last, post behavior, repeat. This bone, graph editor, select all, repeat. Not too hard. And this is why I actually showed you how the graph editor works a little bit earlier, knowing we were going to be doing things like this, so you have a little bit more understanding. Now, let's see what happens. And there we go. There's our flapping bat. Now look at his back. See his back kind of squishing in? And I had mentioned earlier that we probably could use a little bit more structure there. These bones are really large, and the larger the bone, the larger the influence. You can see that if you press the P key, there is multiply strength by rest length. Now you could try turning those off, but overall I found that it's better off just to put a couple more bones in there, because what happens is it starts affecting other areas like down here. Okay. And the other thing I might want to do as we flap these wings is put that structure in there to hold that, but notice nothing's happening down here because these bones aren't moving around and his ears are kind of squishing. Okay, and again, the only reason that happens is because these two large arm bones right here have a really wide range of influence because it's a very large bone. But by putting a couple more bones in his head, we can actually thwart that and give it a little more strength. Now the membrane in between the bones on the wings look pretty good, except the ones on the tail. But once we start animating the tail and the butt, because we parented those, that will actually fall into place. And then we want to give the body a little bit of motion too. You don't want just the wings flapping, you want the whole body kind of just moving around. And the other thing I might just tweak a little bit, but I can do this on my own, you can do it. I might actually curve the wings in a little bit more, just like this. Just push these down a little bit more. He looks like he's not getting enough lift. Okay, but remember, this has to be the same frame as 8. So I'm going to hit Create Key at 8. Create Key at 8. Create Key at 8. Now can you see if we had put in a ton of bones, how much work it would have been? Simply by using a couple of large bones like this, we're getting the decent motion we need. There we go. See that little lag on the top gives it just the right amount. Alright, so he's looking pretty good, but we just need a little bit more structure in the back and his ears, and then we have to animate his head and his tail, and then we're ready for flocking and flying.